All right, let's do this. Why I decided to turn off comments and why they're not coming back. So, whilst we have this conversation, what I'm going to do so you don't have to stare at my ugly mug for the next 10 to 15 minutes is take this cabinet that I just made recently while I was teaching a class and outfit it to fit a set of chisels that have been lovingly waiting in their box for a year to have a home. And commission the chisels and fit them and get them all ready for use and tell you guys why comments aren't coming back. So, I will start off by saying this. I know that a lot of people are upset that I turned off comments. And a lot of people won't watch this video because there aren't any comments on it. And that's fine. You are allowed to have your opinion and your views and your feelings on my own work. But I am also allowed to have my feelings and opinions on my own work. And first of all, 3 years ago or so, when I decided to really build a YouTube channel, to focus on growing this thing so that it was a sustainable part of my business, I didn't know what I was doing, you know? I have always wanted to be a furniture maker, first and foremost. That is my aim, that is my goal, that is how I identify myself professionally and spiritually to some degree. And I viewed and still view YouTube as an avenue to make some income that allows me to pay my bills so that I can continue to make objects out of wood. That is my North Star. And so when I started the channel, as anyone does who has started a channel, and I know many people who watch this channel have their own, you gotta learn the trade. You do the trendy things, you do the clickbaity things, and I made some mistakes. I don't even know if mistakes is the right word. I made choices that I would not make at this point in time, 3 years into it. There are videos out there that are clickbaity, that enrage a lot of people, that I was very snarky and tongue-in-cheek in. And if you know me in real life, you know I can be snarky and tongue-in-cheek, but I say it with love to my friends, and I don't think it reads that way on the internet, which was a thing that I had to learn. So, moving forward, there was this kind of diverse group of people who started following me and watching my videos. Some of them were there for design purposes, for educational purposes. Some of them were there for how-to, and some of them were there just because, I was being a little bit of a on the internet, and they found that entertaining. And that's fine. All of those reasons are valid reasons to watch people's content. But, as I said just a moment ago, I identify as a furniture maker, as a woodworker, as a cabinet maker, as a person who makes objects, not as a person who makes videos. And as I began to move away from the more clickbaity things, and I saw numbers drop, there's that moment of tension, there's that devil on your shoulder. And he always says, like, well, you gotta do the thing to, like, poke the bear, to make the people watch. And the shitty reality is that it works. Like, the unfortunate thing is the most reliable emotion that you can depend on from the internet is rage. The second would be like annoyance, like the little prick in your side. It gets people to click on videos, and it gets people to comment and engage. And that's not a thing. It's not a thing I regret doing, because I think that was the only way to get attention, and as we all know, we live in an attention economy. But it's not a thing that I want to continue to do. And I think at this point, I need to refocus on being a person who makes objects. Maybe this won't be a forever thing. Maybe this is a temporary shift. But at this moment, the focus needs to be on the objects. And what I realized was happening is the objects that I was making were being influenced by the videos, by the numbers, by the comments. And don't get me wrong, overwhelmingly, the comments were positive. People have been very, very kind and excited to see my work, which is, it's an incredible thing. It's a wonderful, wonderful feeling. It's a level of accomplishment that I wasn't sure that I would ever have in my career. And I'm very grateful for that. But I also, when you're in a conversation with 10 people at a dinner table, and you all have different opinions on a particular subject, a piece of artwork, let's say, you can feel yourself being swayed one way or the other by other people's arguments. And I think that's fine, and I think there's value to that. But when that volume expands to 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, your own voice runs the risk of being lost. And when you are the person creating the thing, that's a dangerous place to exist in. And I'm not saying that this is universally true, but I have a hard time navigating all of the noise when I know that my creative process requires quiet. It's a whisper back and forth. It's a collaborative effort with a nonverbal object. And when there is a bunch of shouting, and not necessarily negative shouting, sometimes it's very positive, joyous shouting, but when there is a lot of shouting, it's harder for me to produce interesting work, good work that I feel good about. And I don't think it's a worthwhile effort to go make objects that are lesser than I am capable of making simply because I could make more money doing it. I would rather find a way to pay my bills and make the best work that I can on the side than let my professional integrity take a hit. And I don't want to sound too self-righteous about it, but I think in my core, that's how I feel, you know? I want to be good at the craft that I love. I think I'm decent at it right now. There are plenty of people who are way better at it than I am, and I'm glad for that. And I still have the ability to grow and get better, be a better craftsperson, be a better designer, and that's my aim. And I don't think I can listen and speak simultaneously. And I understand that there might be this feeling that I shut off comments to run away from them because people were mean and I got my feelings hurt. And I mean, look, that's part of it, certainly. Like if you walked into your workplace every single day and somebody told you were a piece of shit, you didn't know what you were doing, after a while that would wear on you. One of two things would happen. You would either quit that job or you would become a disgruntled old guy who, on the job site just gives a bunch of other people a bunch of shit because you're mad that people shit on you for 30 years. I've worked with many of those guys in the field on job sites. So, like, it never doesn't take an effect on you. But I didn't shut them off because I think I'm above reproach. I shut them off because the noise was affecting the quality of work as I saw it that I was putting out into the world. And I don't have any interest in putting out subpar work. I don't have any interest in putting out dishonest work. So there's that. And truthfully, if you want to be a part of the conversation, that is why I have a Patreon. And now listen, the economy is in better. I fully understand that. I'm not saying that you should have to pay to access me to have a conversation. What I am saying is I only have so many hours in the day, and I have to prioritize the people who do help me pay the bills. I think we can all agree that that's fair. But if you want to be a part of the conversation and don't have $5 a month, I don't want you to be shut out. There is a group chat on my Patreon that you can access if you are a free member. So you can head on over there and you can chat with not only me, but everybody who is on my Patreon in that group chat. And it's a very encouraging, kind place where everybody is just trying to get better at the craft that we're all interested in. So if you want to engage with me, please engage with me over there. But the opening up of YouTube to go do my job to upload videos and being inundated with comments from current videos or past videos, it's just too much noise. So I shut it down, and I'll be honest with you guys, I don't regret it at all. And look, I know it's going to hurt the numbers. It already has hurt the numbers. I know a lot of people don't like it. I know a lot of people won't watch my videos because I turned off the comments, and that's fine. But it is the thing that I felt that I needed to do, and I would rather do what I think is the honest move to move forward the most honest way I know how, even if it's the wrong way ultimately. But as long as I think it's the right way, and I think that's the direction that I need to head in, then I don't have a problem taking a risk. So that's what I did. That's what I'm doing. That's what I will continue to do. And if you guys want to dip out, I get it. I understand. No harm, no foul. And if you want to stick around and watch me do other things, hopefully more interesting, creative things, even if they're at a slower pace and there's a lesser bit of a conversation around them, then, I hope I can put out content that you enjoy and find value in. But in the meantime, I'm going to go keep using these new chisels because they're pretty damn good. I'm not going to lie. It's the first set of Japanese chisels I've ever had. And so far, big fan. And I've got a really fun project, simple, but really fun project for the next video that I'm already staring at right off camera. And I'm excited to share that one with you guys as well. So, friends, until the next time, know this. I love you. I appreciate you. And whether we agree or disagree on this comments thing, I still appreciate you being here and allowing me my own space to put something out into the world that I think is positive and that I don't feel that urge to make clickbaity, rundown, top 5 tips anymore. So thanks for the opportunity. And I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, go make a thing. Try to enjoy it if you can. And be warm and well fed. Cheers. I've said many a time, both on this channel and on my podcast, that I think my hands remember information better than my brain. For whatever reason, if you tell me something verbally, I'll probably forget it within minutes. But if my hands can engage with it, I'm far more likely to remember it. This is why in the past I've kept a good old-fashioned notebook on my bench, because physically writing them down rather than typing or speaking information just seems to help me remember. But we live in a digital age where remotely accessing my notes or sharing them with clients or coworkers is really important for a small business like mine, which is why this week I'm happy to partner with Notability, the sponsor of this video. Notability is an app that harnesses the power of handwriting in a digital world, allowing you to turn all of your handwritten notes into a searchable database. All handwriting, text, and PDFs are searchable within Notability. You can also annotate, sign, and share PDFs in seconds. Now look, I've been known to jot down random measurements in random corners of pieces of paper or on the backs of random pieces of scrap wood, and then consequently lose those measurements by the time I get to the saw. Which is why having an app like Notability that allows me to label and search for my cut lists is a huge time saver. Gone are the days of looking on the bench, then looking on the table saw, then on the work assembly table for a piece of paper that tells me just how far apart my chisels are supposed to be in this here cabinet. You know what else is great about Notability? I no longer have to try to explain to Larissa where I left my cut list when we collab on a project together. Notability instantly syncs across all my devices, so I can access that information wherever I am. And I can create a shared library, so all of our information and notes exist in one place, even when we're working on projects at different times. So, whether you're an individual just trying to access your notes remotely, or a business looking to take advantage of Notability's AI-powered chats, summaries, and slide decks, go to Notability.com and use my code Encurtis25 to get a discount on a Plus or Pro subscription. And thanks to Notability for sponsoring this week's video.